Hey, welcome back to the channel. If you're watching this in late August or early September and you're feeling this weird mix of anxiety, maybe some exhaustion, and like you somehow turned back into a child almost who has to manage everyone else's emotions, this video is for you. And I want to start by saying something that I might feel a little bit revolutionary almost, that September anxiety that you're feeling, it's not irrational. It's particularly acute this time of year because your body is literally remembering every overwhelming autumn or fall from your past. And if you were the kid who had to hold it all together when everyone else was falling apart, your nervous system is doing exactly what it was trained to do way back when. So I'm going to paint you a little picture here. Let's say you're scrolling through social media, seeing all the back to school posts, the fresh energy, fresh start, the productivity and the pressure, and instead of feeling motivated, you feel that familiar knot in your stomach. Maybe you don't even have school-age kids, but your body is responding like you're about to walk into chaos. And that's not coincidence, that's actually cellular memory. And here's what's happening in your nervous system. Right now, every seasonal transition activates what I call your core wound patterns. These survival strategies you developed as a child to navigate overwhelming situations. Again, if you were the family emotional manager, the responsible one, the kid who read the room for danger before you could even open books properly, your nervous system learned that September means it's time to go into hypervigilance mode. Your wounded child self is still there, and they remember. They remember September meaning a loss of summer freedom and safety. They remember having to manage everyone's stress about schedules and routines. And they remember also being the one everyone leaned on when transitions got chaotic. And now, decades later maybe, your adult body is still bracing for impact. And here's where it gets really interesting. From a metabolic perspective, when our nervous system activates these old patterns, it doesn't just affect your emotions. It affects your entire biochemistry. Your blood sugar starts fluctuating because stress hormones are flooding your system. Your digestion gets disrupted because your nervous system thinks it needs to prioritize survival over rest and digest functions. Your sleep actually gets wonky because your brain won't shut off from scanning for problems to solve. I see this pattern so clearly in my clients and in my patients. And they'll come to me in September feeling completely derailed, and they think there's something wrong with their willpower or their health habits. But when we dig in a little bit deeper, we find that the body is actually responding to seasonal triggers. And that could go back decades. So let me share what happened with one of my clients. I'll just call her Sarah for argument's sake here. Every August, like clockwork, Sarah would start getting what she called phantom stress. She'd feel anxious and overwhelmed, even though nothing major was actually happening in her current life. Her sleep would actually start fragmenting. She'd crave comfort foods, and she'd feel like this compulsive need to organize and prepare for some undefined disaster. When we explored her history, we actually discovered that Sarah had been parentified as a child. Every September meant her mom could have a mental health crisis related to the kids going back to school. And 8-year-old Sarah, well, she became the family's emotional manager. She'd help her younger siblings get ready, manage her mom's anxiety, and basically hold everyone together. Fast forward 30 years, and Sarah's nervous system was still going to that job. Even though her current life was stable, her body remembered September as the season when she had to be hypervigilant and taking care of everyone else. Her metabolism reflected decades of this pattern: irregular blood sugar, digestive issues, and chronic fatigue that would spike every fall. The breakthrough for Sarah actually came when she realized her September stress wasn't about her current circumstances. It was about giving her wounded child the support she never had during those overwhelming transitions. And instead of fighting her body's responses, she actually started honoring them. This is crucial for highly sensitive people to understand your nervous system reactions to seasonal transitions. These aren't overreactions. They're based on real experiences. Your body learned these patterns for good reason. And the problem is that your adult life might not require the same level of hypervigilance that your old childhood did, but your nervous system, it doesn't know that unless you consciously teach it. So what does healing look like? Well, it starts actually with recognizing that feeling young and scared during transitions is a normal trauma response. Your inner child isn't being dramatic. They are remembering the times when seasonal changes meant chaos and having to grow up way too fast. The metabolic piece is equally important. So when your nervous system is stuck in these old patterns, it burns through resources at an alarmingly accelerated rate. You're not just processing your current life, you're metabolically processing decades of stored stress. This is why standard wellness advice often doesn't work for people with complex trauma histories. Your body's needs are actually very, very different. And I want to normalize something that many of my highly sensitive clients experience. You might need more recovery time during seasonal transitions than other people do. You might need different boundaries around social obligations. You might actually need to schedule rest instead of hoping that it's just going to happen naturally. Your wounded self doesn't need you to be stronger or push through harder. What they need is for you to finally give them the protection and care they deserved all those years ago. This might mean saying no to some social obligations during this busy season. It might actually mean having conversations with family members talking to them about not automatically falling into old roles during these gatherings. Here's what I want you to remember. As we head into fall, your sensitivity to seasonal transition isn't a weakness. It's information. Your body is telling you something important about what you need. Listen to those signals instead of overriding them. If September makes you feel like you're 8 years old again, I'll tell you what, that's your cue to give that 8-year-old self the support that they never had. Create new traditions that honor rest instead of just ramping up productivity. Set boundaries that protect your nervous system during overwhelming times like this. And please remember that your needs matter just as much as everyone else's. Your adult self has the power to interrupt these old patterns and actually create new seasonal memories. And it starts with understanding that your reactions are rooted in real, very real experiences. And healing happens when we honor both the wounded child and the wise adult within us through a process of reparenting. And in my next video, I'm going to dive deep into the specific metabolic impacts of emotional labor and why your blood sugar goes haywire when you're managing everyone else's stress. So make sure to tune into that one. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel. Thank you so much for joining.